Hey, hey, my fabulous friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Speaker Reel. I am your host, Cheryl Knowlton, and today we are joined by absolute brilliance. Once again in the house, my dear friend, Jason Hewlett, CSP, CPAE, that stands for Hall of Fame, means rock star, total rock star. Jason, welcome back. I'm so happy you're here, my friend.
Cheryl, you're the best. It's always so cool to watch how you are so alive on podcasts. I mean,
After we were
really,
just talking for 35 minutes, I flipped the switch.
you're
Ah.
like, hello, everybody. How are we? And I'm like, whoa.
I'm
I'm having,
gonna have to pause while I regain my composure. I'm laughing so hard. You're so awesome.
your
I would.
energy is always amazing, but it's just awesome to watch that you know how to go to the next level when the button is hit record. Yes.
I love this show, and I love our listeners, and they're all over the world, and we all have a lot to listen to and to learn from you. And so, sitting at your feet today is always such an incredible privilege, and what a dear friend you are. Let's talk about you. You were on the show last when we started working together in August of 23. We did an episode together, and that was super fun. And it was so great that my podcast production team hauled it out of the archives and did it as another episode because it was part of our Hall of Fame in terms of our show. But since we last recorded, some things have happened in your life, in your business. One or two. Yeah. So bring us up to speed on all things Jason Hewlett.
Yeah, where should we begin? I don't even know what to talk about first. My gosh.
I do. 2 weeks after we decided to start working together, you sent me a text, very abnormal text, and you said, "I hope you don't want to kill me." It was very unusual language for you. Very unusual language for you. And I said, "Oh boy, this is going to be good. What's up?" And you told me that your dad had issued quite an invitation for you. Tell us about that.
That's a great place to start for sure because the reason you and I put the coaching together was due to the fact that for the last 2 decades, I've been having people come sit on that chair right there next to me. And we would talk about their career. I called it Mentor Mondays. And eventually, people started offering me money to pay for that. And that was nice. Eventually, also had people reaching out that said, "Can you coach me and consult us?" And businesses wanted to implement the promise into their business. So I
Mm.
started getting consulting gigs, which was way different for me, Cheryl, because I mean, I'm a guy that gets on stage and just makes everyone laugh, is kind of what I was coming at first. And then I started teaching leadership and then realizing, wow, this is actually implementable into a business or into an executive's life. And it can change not only their work, but their home life and their happiness and their goals and their promises for their life. Wow. So August rolls around, we start this thing up that I'm just so excited about, August 2023. And I mean, seriously, I thought that that was where I was going for my future with you and to create this coaching and consulting. All these people were coming at me with that. And then it actually came from my bonus mom, my dad's wife. Her name is Janet. She sat me down one day up at our family ranch up in the mountains of Utah. And she sat on the swing with me, this swinging bench, and she said, "Jason, do you know how our company's going?" And I said, "Yeah, it's going well, it seems." And she said, "It is. We have a tiger by the tail." She said, "It is maybe the best product ever created. And there are some management challenges. We've hired some people that we probably shouldn't have, and
Mm.
we have people on the bus that shouldn't be there."
Mm.
She said, "I don't know how to help your father, whom I love and I know you do, to manage this because he's so busy selling it and being all around the world for this product."
And for those of you who are wondering what in the world we're talking about, it and this amazing world class product, the best product that's ever been invented, Cardio Miracle.
It's called Cardio Miracle. Yeah. So this product is great for your heart health. So if you know anybody that has, let's say they've had surgery or they've had a hip replacement, a knee replacement, they have blood pressure issues, they have cardiovascular disease, they have diabetes, lots of issues that people are going through that require blood flow. This just creates a chemical, a compound inside of your body, a little spark of life called nitric oxide. And it's a chemical that we produce when we're young. As we age, our arteries harden and it doesn't form anymore or as easily. And so this product is just that. It's a drink mix, and you take it. And Cheryl, it is a miracle for the people that take it. It's been so cool to watch how many people have been influenced by this, and especially during COVID. In the
Mm.
pandemic, it was actually discovered by science that that little COVID virus was attacked by nitric oxide if you put it in your body. And so that's when the company exploded, because everyone was like, "Wait a minute, Cardio Miracle has nitric oxide on it in it, and when it, at least when it hits your bloodstream is when it's formed." And they said that's when the company went crazy. And so by 2023, my bonus mom said, "Can you come in and just look at our company and see if you can help us?" And I said, "Well, sure. I'm doing that for other companies too." So I met with on Zoom every single person that they had hired. And I was looking for their signature moves. I was looking for their promise to the company. I was looking to see if they were actually doing what they said they were doing for the money.
Hmm.
And pretty soon I found out within a month of, it took me a month to interview everybody because there's about 50 people. And I figured out really quickly that we needed to move some things around. I started putting together weekly calls with the company because they didn't do calls as a company. And they didn't have really much. They had leadership in that my dad was in charge of everything and everybody else would just do whatever he said. And so we put in place the right leaders. We grabbed people from customer service that were doing good and we put them in a leadership spot. And we fired this guy and got rid of that team. And I mean, it was like I was just playing chess with this company that was so interesting. And yeah, Cheryl, within 2 weeks of you and I starting our thing, now all of a sudden my dad's going, "How did you learn how to do this?"
Did you learn how to do that? Because so many people, especially world-class entertainers like you, I mean, you can do it all. You can sing, you can dance, you make people laugh, you are hysterical, and you also have an amazing mind for business. That's a very rare combination.
Well,
I don't have that. People
you're
pay me
so
not to sing.
good. Yeah, but here's the thing. I've been running my own company with my own independent contractors and employees for over 20 years. I know what works, I know what doesn't.
Mhm.
Obviously, I haven't run a multi-million-dollar company that was like selling a product of health supplement, but rather I am a health supplement by showing up and spreading joy, right? So I know how to sell that. I know how to sell.
I am a health supplement. I want that on a shirt by tomorrow.
So they said quickly, my father and my wonderful bonus mom Janet, they said, "Will you come on and be a part of the company?" And I said, "I don't have time, and you can't afford me either." Like I make a lot of money speaking on stage for an hour. I get like 25 grand when I speak, and they were like, "We know you charge a lot. You can still do that, but can you come in and help us?" So I started part time, and uh, by December of that year, I was the president of the company. And now it's, gosh, here we are. What is it? It's February 2025,
I think so.
I think. January was the longest year of my life. But,
Agreed.
but yeah, here we are in February. It's been almost 18 months, I guess. And things have absolutely transformed with the company. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. It's changed my life in many ways to be a part of it. And my business has shifted as the speaker, performer, and so forth. And one of the casualties of that process was our coaching situation, which was really hard for me because I was like, "Cheryl, I can't keep doing all these things." And I was letting you down, I felt, and you never let me feel that. But I was like, "I can't show up for every call." And you held on and you helped us.
We did it for a year, and it was the most magical year of my entire life professionally. It really really was. And I don't want to get emotional because then I'm just going to blow snot rockets everywhere and that'll get messy and weird. But it was absolutely incredible. And you did it all for a year.
I tried.
You
I
did it
did.
all well, as far
I
as
did
I'm
a
concerned.
lot, and it was a little bit too much. And when you do too many things at once, you're not good at that one thing that you're supposed to be doing. And what I appreciate is that you are so skilled, so talented, such a great coach that every person that was still coming to me asking for help, I could always say, "Hey, look, you need to talk to Cheryl. She's the master of this. I'm her sidekick." And what's interesting, I think a lot of people thought it was the other way around. It was not. It never was meant to be. It was your thing, and we got it rolling. And we had incredible students. We had amazing workshops. We had retreats that were absolutely powerful, changed people's lives. It changed mine. And to see the way that you are so good, because let me tell you, I come from a performance background where I'm like, if the theater's not full, I've failed. That's how I've always felt. And so I've had to learn perform for the people in the seats, regardless of who doesn't show up. And you are the kind of person that if there is one person in that seat, you act like it's a sold out show.
I
And
learned that from you. I learned that from you.
I don't think so. Because
Yes.
honestly, as I watched you show up every single Monday for those calls, that for me, I was like, what are we doing every Monday? This is crazy. Usually on a Monday, I can do whatever I want, and you're like, 9 a.m., here we are, woohoo! And I'm like, holy cow, this is too much. You showed up every week, and then you had webinars, and you set everything up and put everyone in a place to succeed. And I was just like, even when some people, and let's be candid, some people had hard time paying sometimes, or some people had hard time showing up. And you never gave up on anybody. You never made anyone feel bad. You never made them feel less than. You only built them up every time. And I was like, this is the kind of gal you want to go to battle with. And this is the kind of person you want as your coach. Somebody who will nurture you but will push you. And you never like held everyone around like, oh, let me walk you through the stream. You're like, we're going together. And you're like, oh boy, here we go. And I'm like, oh my heavens, she has enthusiasm in a snowstorm. And that's just how you are. So it was a delight to do it. And it was rough for me to have to say, I think we've come to the end because I'm so busy doing this company that is taking over my life. And it's taking over my life for a good reason. It's a
Yes.
legacy family company that is a mission-based company. Our mission is to heal 100 million hearts. And we are on our way. And I'm just telling you, I had to give up a couple of really special things in order to do it.
Well, I I witness you keeping your promises. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Because that I know that that is incredibly important to you. You released your amazing book, The Promise to the One, in 2020. And I read it. It's an annual read. There it is. There it is. I should say it's an annual listen, but my actual book is a coloring book because I highlight and highlight and highlight and mark and flag and all the things. And I see something new each time that I can improve on. And it's one of the few books that's an annual read for me. And I absolutely love it and the impact that it's had on me. So chronologically, you and I both make a tough decision that it's best to release you to serve in this capacity as the president of your dad's amazing multi-million-dollar company. We hold our last retreat together at the very end of August, 29th, 30th, and 31st of August, if I remember the dates correctly, which was absolutely world class and so phenomenal and life changing for every single person who attended. And you left there. And the week after, you had a summit of sorts for Cardio Miracle. And that following Saturday, you had a pretty life changing event, if I recall. the chronology of events correctly. What did you do that Saturday?
You have a great memory for this. This was a year after we started, and here we were having this culminating event. And I remember I had to leave early because I had a child that had an accident, and so I had to race away from the event, go take care of him at the hospital, and then he was fine. But then I raced up the mountain to help run the Cardio Miracle Retreat, which we had never done one. And so we're just establishing all these things. We're bringing in doctors, scientists, affiliates. It's not a multi-level marketing company, just so everybody knows, but it is a thing where if you tell somebody about it, you can make a percentage back for talking about it. And so it's a neat program, an affiliate program that people, saying if you want to help with your health, then you can make money talking about it. So anyway, we have all these influencers coming into town. And I was in charge of the whole thing, right? With these folks that we had put in place. And gosh, it was awesome. In fact, here's something funny. Pretty much no one that worked for Cardio Miracle after I had been president for almost a year had any idea what I do for a living. They had never
not know who you were.
No, they had never seen me perform. They'd never seen me speak. They and there was only one that was a customer service gal. I remember we got on a Zoom call and she goes, "Wait a minute. Are you Jason Hewlett, like the comedian?" And I go, I don't know. What do you think? And she goes, "I was just watching your Father Time video on YouTube with my daughter." And I go, "Yeah, that was me." And she goes, "What are you doing running this company?" She did not know. Anyway, when everybody came together, I got to perform my show and my promise message. And everybody was like, "What is this?" Because they only knew me from Zoom calls and leading leadership management stuff. Right?
And here is this magician performing world class, making everyone laugh and cry, and you can sing, and there's nothing you can't do.
Well, you're nice, but I mean, it was funny because it was a little theater in Heber City, Utah, that we rented out for the night for everyone to just see what I do and to spread some joy. And it was awesome to watch 100+ people sitting there like, "What on earth? This is amazing." Now, the next night was even bigger.
Yep.
Because the next night we had sponsored what was a tour called the Tucker Carlson Live Tour Across America. And it was his, I think, fourth city on his tour to go around and not be censored. And because I guess he had just been let go from Fox or wherever he had been, and he started his own network, and it was censored all over the world. So he said, well, they can't censor me in person. So he started booking all these arenas. And so my dad found out about this about 4 months earlier and said, "I want to sponsor the Salt Lake City stop when they come to Utah." And Tucker had a different guest at every place. His guest in Utah was Glenn Beck. And Cheryl, I'll be very honest with you and your listeners. I thought at the time, Tucker Carlson is a guy that works for CNN and has a bow tie. And Glenn Beck is a guy that screams into the radio. That's all I knew about.
There's a personal brand for you.
That's all I knew about those two guys. And I knew when they offered to take a picture with all of the VIPs, I said to my wife, "I don't want to take a picture with them because if my clients find out, or my friends, that I'm here, I think these guys are controversial. I might have a challenge on my hands." So I didn't promote it at all or take a picture. And my dad convinced the tour manager to let me open the show. The tour manager was very concerned because he had never heard of me before. He said, "How is the president of a health company going to perform for a stadium full of people?" And my dad said, "Trust me, my son is the greatest performer in the world. He's probably the greatest living entertainer." And the guy goes, "Then why is he the president of a health company?" And he goes, "'Cause he's my son. I paid you a lot of money. Let him on that stage." And so I got about 10 minutes, and they were just so horrified when I went on that stage. They said, "Hey, if you don't do this well, we have a problem. And
we're going to keep your sponsorship money and boot you off."
Yeah, they actually did threaten me with that, and I said, okay, I'll stay in the time. So I ended with about, you know me and landing the plane with time. I ended with about 12 seconds early, just to be sure. But what I ended with was after my comedy, music, impressions, I just did a quick blast of fun stuff. The audience of 10 to 20,000 people, who knows how many were there? It was full. It was awesome. The Delta Center in Salt Lake City, where the Utah Jazz play, an arena I've performed at multiple times. The crowd went crazy, as if I was a rock star. And I closed with, I'm proud to be an American. God bless the USA. Everyone was on their feet with their lights. They were crying and singing along. And the cameramen for the tour came on stage, which they had never done. And they filmed the whole audience waving their lights because they had not seen this in any of the other cities. And I came off stage, and the tour manager, as he had been cursing me out before I went on stage, he embraced me and he said, "Who on earth are you?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey man, I told you it would go well." And he goes, "Can you come with us to open every other city and every other show?" And I was like, uh, "I'll have to check my schedule." And what was interesting, Cheryl, is that we then went from there to city after city, guest after guest of Tucker's. They canceled a majority of the comedy acts that they had. Sometimes they had to keep them, and they would do their set, and then I'd come on and make it, G-rated, family friendly again. But it was a most fascinating experience because I didn't get paid one penny. I did it as a sponsorship trade for Cardio Miracle to be seen by the hundreds of thousands of people that were at those stadiums and arenas. And the truth is, yeah, I didn't get paid anything. And a lot of people are surprised because online it looked like I had just gone from guy who does corporate events to now I'm like on a world stage. And my life changed dramatically in the matter of weeks as I became associated with the Tucker Carlson group and with the people that he had on stage. And it appeared that I must be supporting, endorsing, and being a part of that world. And in reality, I stepped into it being completely in the middle of the political scale and being able to be booked for the left and for the right and everybody in between. And my life changed quite dramatically.
Yeah. That, my friends, is what is known as the understatement of the century.
What did you think? Because we were texting in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of it. What did you think about when you saw this happening? Because you know me. I mean, you know that I'm like, nobody would ever know what my political beliefs were, and actually I didn't even really have any that were too strong at that point. So what did you think while you were watching this all unfold? I'm curious.
I think that your dad is brilliant, and I completely agree with him that you are the most talented living entertainer on the planet at this time or any other time. I'm 10 years older than you, so I have a 10-year head start. Um, my thought was finally,
Oh.
the world is going to see what I have seen all along in how brilliant and versatile and incredibly talented you are. How you, in the introduction to the Promise to the One, you talk about how you were your almost contract to be a Vegas headliner. And you walked away from that because it didn't align with your values. You were not going to be able to keep it family friendly. You were not going to be able to have control over the songs and the script, and that's not what you're about. And you walked away from that. And I know that's who you are. Um, and so that was my reaction. Was finally the world is going to see how brilliant and talented you are. About time.
That's nice.
I don't say things because they're nice. You know me better than that.
Oh, you're too gracious and complimentary. And
Nah. I had 4 of my own children, 5 bonus kids. Trust me. Ask them if I say things because they're nice. They will have a slightly different story.
well, truly, When you go from doing the events that I've done, which once in a while it's a stadium or an arena, and that's cool.
Hmm.
I'm mostly in hotel ballrooms, speaking at corporate events, making a really nice penny for the hour.
Yep.
And what's interesting about that is you go from, 500 to 1,000 people is a normal crowd. And now you're in front of 10 to 20,000 in a stadium or an arena. That's a completely different feeling. And uh, and so yeah, it did kind of feel like a whoa, this is big.
Hmm.
This is my moment. Now, what was curious about it was that I came on so subtly in terms of the tour itself. They didn't have my name anywhere on anything ever. So I would just show up when the audience was sitting there, and at 7 p.m. I would just run on stage and be like, "Hey everybody, ready to have a fun night?" And then I'd start singing, "Listen to the music, oh, listen to the music." And everybody's like, "Who's this happy guy?"
Friends, you think I have energy? Not even close. I am a double A battery compared to Jason Hewlett nuclear explosion. Yeah.
Whatever, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, the audience was like, "Wow, this is a fun way to open. We don't know who this is." And eventually, I would ask the tour, I said, "Would it be possible to put my name behind me while I'm on stage so they know who I am? Like that would be neat." And
Neat
eventually,
idea.
yeah, by maybe the third or fourth gig, they finally did put my Instagram handle up, and I got like 1,000 followers in 1 second. Like it was wild. And I knew the nights that they did it right because all of a sudden my followers went up. But then the nights they didn't, I'd come off stage and I would see all these posts online of people sharing what I had done. And it said, "I don't know who this was, but it was the best entertainer I've ever seen."
Yeah, finally. Hmm.
But they didn't put my name,
Oh
right?
no.
No, like I just kept finding them because they would like tag the tour. And they're
Oh
like,
no.
"Someone please tell me who this is so I can follow me. We don't know who he is." And so it was this weird balance of like I was there for one main purpose, which was to spread joy to people, no matter their affiliation, their religion, their political. And I was trying to promote Cardio Miracle. So I always did a funny bit about Cardio Miracle. And most people didn't know who I was. And I'd come off stage, do a standing ovation, and then I would just go to the next city. It was so interesting, because I thought, man, this is going to blow me up. Like, I mean, I even had the people at the arenas saying, "When can you come back and do your whole show?" You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And then now they won't call me back.
Well, okay, so that was the spotlight and the amazing and the holy cow, and you just alluded to that. And now we're a few months past that. Now where are you?
Oh, Cheryl, I would love to give you such good news. You know, like I would love to say that it exploded my career and I have all these opportunities and I made all this money. Like I said, I didn't make 1 cent for any appearance. It culminated in being a part of the event where Donald Trump was the actual guest for the final Tucker show. And Cheryl, leading up to it, he had had pretty big guests. J.D. Vance was one. He had Donald Trump Jr. as one. Roseanne Barr and Russell Brand, like some really famous celebrities.
Kid Rock was
Kid
one, if
Rock,
I remember right.
Kid Rock, yeah.
Mhm.
And and then guys like Charlie Kirk and Jesse Kelly. And unless you're in that world, you don't know some of these names, Megan Kelly. But like all of a sudden, there's Donald Trump, and they asked me to come and be the opener because Trump had an opener in Madison Square Garden the week prior. That was a very famous comedian. He's very good, but he's a roaster. I mean, and he made fun of Puerto Rico and some other things that really everyone thought negatively affected Trump and his campaign at the time. So they brought me in as kind of the family friendly G-rated guy, and that would not offend anybody. And they gave me the mic and they said, "Hey, we're gonna have you do 10 or 15 minutes at the Desert Diamond Arena." It was on Halloween night. It was less than a week before the election, And they were like, we don't know if Trump's here yet. And I was like, okay, just add to the clock if you want me to keep going, right? So there's 20,000 people there, I think. And I didn't realize people like Jordan Peterson, my own personal hero, was there, and Danica Patrick, and some of the most iconic, important, faces of philosophy, of celebrity, of importance in the whole country and in the world were there. And I was just performing and making everybody laugh for the first 10, 15 minutes. And as the clock was ticking down, the next thing I knew, I was like, okay, I got 5 minutes. I'm going to get ready to close. And then all of a sudden it bounced back up to 20 minutes. And then it whittled down to 10 or 15. It jumped back up to 20 again. So eventually I was on stage for, I believe, 47 minutes, which I find ironic because I think he's our 47th president. And so I found it interesting that I was performing in front of some of the most important voices in America before they all took the stage. And then Donald Trump, whom I never met, finally took the stage a few hours after I was done because they had so many speakers in between us. And while I was sitting there, and after all the hate that I had received for the last month and a half of being on this tour, I had received so much hate from so many people canceling me and telling me that, I shouldn't be doing it and that I'd made a bad choice and that they didn't know that that's the kind of person I was that would support this kind of thing. I had to really dig deep and do some research into what do I want? What do I believe? What do I want for America? Do I want it to continue the way it's been under Biden? And I had never actually voted for a president that's won in my entire adult life because I kind of just go back and forth. I've been a libertarian the whole time. And it was interesting, Cheryl, because I had to really dig deep, my wife and I together, because she had never really looked much into it. We had always been listening to CNN, watch The View, the late night shows, and we didn't realize how much like that one way of thinking was one way of thinking. And then we started to look into things like the Blaze Network, the Daily Wire, Megan Kelly and Candace Owens, and like there's just such a dramatic difference between the two. I couldn't believe the difference,
Mhm.
and I was like, how come the people that tell me I should love everybody on the left, the people on the left were like, you have to love everyone and accept us, and then I did, and we were friends. But when I went and got on this stage and it was the opportunity of my life, those people all canceled me right away. They didn't love me anymore. And I thought that I had always loved them no matter what they believed, no matter what they told me to believe. And no matter where I made sure to bend to whatever they needed and without losing my integrity, I always wanted to be favorable and loving and I still hope that they feel that I am. But now because I was on this stage, according to them, I was not. I had chosen to ruin their lives. And I was like, how can it be that they claim that we need to love everybody and uh, be so kind and reach out and be accepting of everyone, and I have been, and now they can't be that of me. That's when I was like, wow, I guess I am this Republican guy. I didn't realize it, Cheryl. And I remember sitting there watching Trump, and I started crying because I was like, I guess I have to say something because I have now had all of my gigs canceled for 2025. All the companies that had held dates for me had said, because he's so political, we can't have him at our event. And I'm like, since when? And so many friends had texted, emailed, and sent private messages that were so scathing that I was like, if that's the side that says we love everybody, then what am I doing on this side? So I started looking into the other side, and I'm just telling you, it resonated more with me. And I felt the need to endorse Trump that night online. And I'll tell you, that was another nail in my coffin. And Then he won 5 days later. That was another nail in my coffin. Even more people reached out and told me what a terrible, horrible person I am, and that I had ruined their life, their family. They were scared for their safety. And I thought, a lot of what's gone on for the last 10 years of my life has threatened my family, has threatened my faith, has threatened my ability to say anything and be honest. I can't just say what I actually feel or I will be canceled. And when I finally said what I felt, I was canceled. And I said, you know what? I guess it's worth it to do that. Even I don't want to lose friends, but how could those people claim that they loved me no matter what? And then when no matter what happened, I'm out. I couldn't believe it, Cheryl. It's been wild, and I don't want this to be a downer of a podcast, but I had stood for things my whole life, such as leaving Vegas and turning away the contract, and simple things like the Michael Jackson impression that I had to retire because it made people think different things when I was doing the impression. So I've always been sensitive to everybody's needs, but what about mine? What about my family? What about what I want? You know? And I had never stood up for that yet. And I finally did by standing for this thing. And yeah, it's made my life absolutely hell in that sense. And yet, the silver lining is this: I believe standing for something means keeping a promise to yourself.
I agree 1,000%. And we have listeners all over the world who watch the United States of America and the comedy that they feel like we are.
Mm.
And it's so fascinating to me, Jason, because I grew up in the California Bay Area. My mother, the softest, sweetest, most angelic human being ever to walk this earth. You are the most talented. She was the most angelic. She was a Democrat, and so were her parents. My dad was a Republican, and so was his mother. Lost his dad in World War II, so I never got to meet him growing up. And so I grew up in a home where I genuinely loved both. I didn't take sides. I didn't love my mother more than my dad or my dad more than my mother. And there was a lot of love and a lot of listening and a lot of agreement and a lot of that's interesting and a lot of curiosity. And occasionally my dad would slam his hand down on the kitchen table at dinner and make all the silverware jump. And I thought that was pretty fun. I'm like, ooh, what are we talking about? And I got curious. So I learned to love both. Now, as a mother of adult children, all of my girls are married. So now we have all of their husbands and their children all involved who all have their own opinions. I have two of my daughters who vote one way and two of my daughters who vote the other way. I am so grateful for the background that I had growing up where I learned to really, truly, deeply love people, even if they vote differently than I do, or pray differently than I do, or love differently than I do. That's okay. That doesn't change anything. And I think the saddest part of what you've been through is not how people lean politically or one way or the other. It's the claiming, first of all, that they were your friends. Second of all, because we haven't even talked about the real thing that a lot of people that you thought were your friends did to you. We'll get to that. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging, listeners. It's that there's no tolerance and no love for doing anything differently. And I don't believe in being driven by fear. Of course, there have been times in my life where I have been. Go back and listen to my episode about being married to my bipolar ex-husband and the 10 lies I told myself. You want to talk about living in fear? I get it. I get it. And but I can't help but think that you kept the ultimate promise, to use your words, Jason, when you decided I have to take a stand. And others on the who vote differently and believe differently, they believe they are keeping a promise when they take a stand. And
Yeah.
we all are. This is not a political, this is how you should vote. It's a matter of decide what you believe and take a stand.
There you go. And that's never anything I've ever done. But
It's gone real well for you so far.
but in the eyes of the people that were critiquing it, they were saying, "Wait a minute. This is the promise guy. He turned away Vegas on the basis of morality. He turned away doing certain things in his show on the terms of morality. How could he be voting for this, in their opinion, immoral guy?" I mean, it was a very interesting argument that they gave me. And
Mhm,
I also was like, well, okay, the things I see that have been happening in our country are immoral for a long time.
mhm.
I need a change. And I'm sorry if you can't agree with that. I'm going to do what I have to do to stand up for that. And so I did. And obviously that was unacceptable to a lot of people. I'm not saying every single person left. There are some still around, and there are others that have become bigger fans. I find that really interesting. And let me tell you, Cheryl, I can't even describe to you how interesting it is to get a private voicemail from a black male who is either an athlete or in the military that sends me a private message and says, "I absolutely stand with you. And if anybody knew that I was doing this, I'd be canceled by my family and entire community. But I voted the same as you because I need a change." And I was like, oh my heck. Like they were saying, "Thank you for allowing us to stand on your back while you're down." That's what they were saying.
Oh gosh, that's a visual that I don't. Yeah. But you took a bullet for so many people.
I didn't feel like I was, but apparently I was. And I was like, oh, wow. I had some people say, "It feels like we're holding Jason up in front of us, letting you get shot so we can rush the stage and stand for something." And I was like, okay, if I'm that guy, that's, I guess, what it is. And man, I got slaughtered by our industry. And
Let's talk about that because this,
yeah,
yeah, I want to make sure that we address what happened to you in terms of what people that you believed were your friends did, in terms of your Hall of Fame speaker status, which is a very, very small group of individuals who ever make it into the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame, the highest unearned designation that anyone could aspire to, hope for, pray for, work for, slave for, sweat their career for. I believe Mark LeBlanc was nominated 20 plus times before he finally was inducted into the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame. And I'll have to have him on the show. He he's an amazing human, and talking to him about that, he had all but given up. And you were one of the youngest inductees into the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame. But for some people, that based on your standing up for what you believed in, they were not too happy about that, were they?
no. And I don't know, what the end all with this is, but I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2016, which, yeah, I was in my mid to late 30s, which is very young for that kind of a lifetime, achievement or whatever you call it. And I was absolutely floored that they put me in there. And I understand where they might come from in the terms of saying somebody's done something that's, against the rules or embarrassed the industry or something like that. I get that. But like, I think of it this way. If one of our peers had had the opportunity to open for Kamala Harris or go and stump for Joe Biden, it would have probably been front page news on the National Speakers Association. They would have been holding that person up saying, "Look at what our peer is doing and look at all the success they're having. Go, fight, win." Like, I'm just telling you, the hypocrisy of this is insane to me. And I have sent more people the way of National Speakers Association than anyone I know personally. I talk about it in videos. I have a YouTube channel dedicated to becoming a better performer that you've told lots of people about. And I talk about the NSA all the time. I have given, I have been on that main stage probably as many times as most people have ever been on it. I have been the keynoter, the entertainer, the MC of the award show. I've been asked to MC and not been able to and referred other people. I'm just telling you, from the local chapter to the national, to think that now I have people questioning my ethics because I had this opportunity and because I was endorsing somebody and being on a stage with people that are trying to make a change in our country that we thought was important. And guess what? More than half the country believed it was right. So it was, according to that. Uh, to think that now I'm having ethics violations come against me from my peers and people that have referred me in the past or have supported me before all of this, I just, it's almost like, do we know the Constitution? Do we know that there's a freedom of speech, a freedom of thought, a freedom of right? Apparently, there's not if it's against what you want or believe. And what I find so tragic about it is that Cheryl, for so many years, I've been supporting every single person, no matter their belief, their desires, their wants, and I've been like, I am your champion. I will be on your side. And the one time I take a stand, I am like, I am thrown to the wolves. And that's just a lot of people are like, it was just a bad judgment call on Jason's part, and I'm like, no. At first I was a little bit like, this is probably a bad idea, and eventually I was like, holy cow, this is where I want to be. And I'm glad I did it. And I guess I'm going to pay the consequences in that way.
Yeah, and I think that was the question on everybody's mind is, okay, looking back, are you glad you did it? And you just answered that. How does your dad feel about it?
He couldn't have been prouder. Because about 3 or 4 gigs into it, I announced it on my blog that I was doing this.
Yes, you did.
And that's when all heck broke loose, was when I finally publicly shared, hey, I'm doing these events. And that's when the wolves came out. Like, what are you doing? You're going to throw your career away. And I knew it was going to be touch and go, but I didn't realize it was going to be an absolute barn burner. and, and I remember watching my gigs fall away for 2025, and my assistant was like, "What's going on? We're losing all these gigs, and people are saying they can't have you anymore." And I'm like, "I guess it's because I just posted that I'm on this tour." And so then I found out that people weren't willing to refer me anymore. They were actually suggesting not having me. Like, really crazy stuff was happening, and I remember asking my dad for a blessing. And in our faith, we ask our fathers for blessings. And he did. He blessed me in the hotel room. And he told me that I had angels watching me and that I was going through my own personal hero's journey. And it absolutely was a hero's journey. I could not turn back. It was too late. I will never get my old life back. I've never experienced what a real hero's journey was until this. I thought I had with the Vegas contract 20 plus years ago. No, this was an absolute different thing where you say you can't get it back and you must go through the ordeal and you must jump off the cliff, and it is terrifying and you wish you could go back, but then you realize you were never meant to go back. And to have my dad by my side, to know my mission was to heal the hearts of people through joy and through this product that I believe in called Cardio Miracle, that I know helps people, and I've seen it. I've seen their lives change. No way. It was absolutely the right thing, and being a part of that with my dad, he he gave me faith and strength, and I tell you, my Lord and Savior was with me and holding me the whole way. If there were footprints on the beach, it were only his, because he was carrying me.
All right. Where's the Kleenex? Jeez.
You're the only one I've shared this with, so yeah.
I'm so grateful. Thank you. I knew a lot of the story. I didn't know that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I study the hero's journey. It was part of my Academy for Coaching Excellence curriculum. Graduated a year ago Saturday.
Oh,
The only reason I remember that was my anniversary. So that was fun. The hero's journey, the ultimate culmination of the hero's journey is the hero brings the wisdom home. And you're doing that. You're doing that for us. I know you love the National Speakers Association. I know that you are the most loyal, incredible friend that anyone could ever be blessed to have. And you're doing that. You're bringing the wisdom home for all of us to recognize, that's been my big thing, is trying to help people, women especially, but all people, to unmute themselves during the pandemic. It was the thing, right, on Zoom. Unmute yourself. We all need to unmute ourselves to a greater extent and speak the message of our hearts, and um and spark change in the world. And regardless of which, how you vote, this is so much bigger than that. It's an invitation. It's a call to action for each of us to step up to the plate.
well said. And the truth is, those who oppose what I believe, you need to say something. You need to speak. Open your voice, open your mouth, do not hide it. That's your promise. I am not going to be quiet, and you shouldn't either. And that's the beauty of being able to raise our voice, to have a democracy, to have something that the founding fathers wanted us to argue about. It's okay to argue, but it's more important to listen. I have been listening for 46 years. I finally came up with my own solution. And I'm happy to continue listening to what you think as well. But you don't need to tell me to shut up. You don't. I've heard it long enough. I've been told to shut up for a long time. So now I'm going to not shut up. And one of my favorite quotes is from this guy, Jordan Peterson. In order to think, you have to risk being offensive.
Mm.
I'm okay with that. I bought that as a sticker. And I'm just saying, like, I've started to think, I guess, in a different level. And to me, it's important to stand up for something that I felt was attacking my own personal beliefs, my own family, my opportunity, and other things that I was disturbed by. And it's okay that I think that. And what you think, I'm happy that you get to think that too. And I love you no matter what you think. I love you even if you hate me. I love you even if you don't accept me anymore and you're fighting against me. I have not changed in that sense. And a lot of people are like, Jason's changed and all this stuff. And it's like, well, the only thing I've changed is I have now made a decision and I am now speaking up. And I'm not willing to be silent, because silence is the way of the devil. I believe that. You have to stand up for something. And so I'm not being quiet anymore.
Good for you. Great man that we both revere, who's since passed away. Gordon B. Hinckley said, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And that is not a political statement. It's not a religious statement. It's, we all need to get very clear about what matters to us, because you can't keep the promise if you're loosey goosey, nebulous, and blown all over the world and with whatever. And the same thing, I grew up in a home where I loved both sides. I will always love both sides. Jason, you mentioned the founding fathers. They did not agree. Go back and read your history, kids. They did not agree, and they fought vigorously against and they stood up for what they believed in. They were not silent. And yet the ultimate, at the end of the day, the name of the game for the founding fathers, and it needs to be the same for us, is compromise.
That's right. And I make a living as a speaker, but I've made my life as a listener.
Mm.
I've listened to all the sides, and I'm grateful for those that are willing to listen to me now. And it's not that I'm done listening. I am learning every day more and more because I'm stepping into this space. And I'm grateful for the many people that have educated me, and I'm grateful for the people that have listened to me and not discounted it just because they think, well, that's wrong. It's interesting to watch somebody who hears versus listening.
Mm.
So, are you just hearing what people say? Or are you actually listening, considering, and reforming your opinion? I'm not saying that it's over for me to say this is the last thing I think. No, educate me. Let's talk, but let's listen to each other. Compromise. What's
Yep.
cool about the word compromise is promise is in there.
Yeah. Ooh, ho, ho, ho. This was not planned. This was not scripted. Wow. It is. I'll never look at that word the same way again.
So, how can you promise to compromise? And how can you listen when other people won't hear you and won't listen to what you're willing to go there with? I'm just telling you, so many people are unwilling to listen at this point.
Absolutely. And I will just say, from a very personal standpoint, my youngest daughter has never left. She and her sweetheart fell in love when they were 15 years old. They got married shortly after high school, and he moved in here. And now they have two daughters, three dogs, and two cats that live downstairs in our basement apartment. And the election was very, very scary for her. Very scary. She was terrified for her family, for our family, for the country. And I have a lot of dear friends who vote differently, than you and I might, and who are absolutely terrified for what this was going to mean for our country. And she, my youngest daughter, she left our family text thread.
Oh,
She
wow.
said, my values aren't represented here, so I'm out of here. When we were talking about,
Mm.
this grandchild's play and what time are we getting together for our family birthday party for January, and she didn't want to be a part of it.
Oh, man.
And I thought, I mean, it was sizzling, like the electric air around here for a couple of weeks, where I knew she didn't want to talk to me. I knew she was angry and hurt and upset, and finally the moment was right for us to have a conversation where I prayed and prayed and prayed for an open heart and an open mind to listen without defending my beliefs or attacking hers, but just to listen. Share with me. Tell me what you're feeling. Help me understand, and to just to listen. And then when the moment was right for me to tell her, I agree with you on this point, and I feel this. I agree with you on this point, and I feel this. And as we talked that through, she looked at me and she said, we agree on a whole lot more than I thought we did. And that's what I would love to invite all of us to be able to think and feel, because you have people who sit at your dining room table, who work across the aisle, not the political aisle, but has a cubicle over there, that we all look at the world a little bit differently. And that's a good thing. Diversity of thought, diversity of opinion is a beautiful thing. It creates a rich tapestry for every organization and every family if we listen to each other.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
She's
Uh,
not back in the family thread yet, though. I know you're all
oh,
wondering.
ah, you know, that reminds me, you grew up in this Democrat Republican house. I grew up in a house where my dad grew up in Salt Lake City as a very staunch Mormon boy. My mother grew up in Los Angeles and had a completely different way of living as a child, right? And then came into this marriage together. Then my dad joins the University of Utah Crimson Club as well as the BYU Cougar Club.
Oh, my stars in heaven.
And so as a child, this is a holy war at every game. I mean, we had front row seats to both games for both teams, and I was fans of both sides. I find it interesting that politically, that's how my whole life has been ever since until now. To be
Mm.
able to finally say, well, I guess I need to take a stand on a certain thing, but like I grew up cheering for rivals and opposite ends of the spectrum that most people cannot comprehend that even an option. That sounds ridiculous. It was the Lakers versus the Celtics. It was the opposites. But for me, it made sense. That's been my whole life, is to land in the middle and be loving to everyone on all aisles and all sides. And so, yeah, it's interesting how we have our different ways of seeing the world. And I do hope that even as I've shared this story, and it's a little bit of a wild adventure, that I hope that people will know that I love them and I love to listen and I'm still here and I would love to entertain. And it doesn't mean that if I get on a stage, I'm gonna tout some political agenda. That's not what I'm doing.
No, never.
Ever. Like, no. Sorry. While I was at those events with Tucker and Trump, I was touting joy and love and family and constitution, and let's be thankful we get free speech and we have the chance to cheer together and love one another as patriots, and what a wonderful opportunity. So yeah, it's been quite challenged.
And it really has been the hero's journey. And
Yeah.
and you're still on it. Thank you for walking the path. Thank you for not shying away when it's gotten hard and difficult and you've had to fight back the wolves. I know that any audience lucky to hear you speak will walk away better for it. Any corporation that is smart enough to bring you in will be better for it. And no, I am not Jason's new PR manager. I would take that job in a heartbeat, though. I always felt like I could sell him better than I could sell myself. There's a lot more talent and ability there.
I can sell you better than you can sell you too. So that's
That
because, think of it. I mean, I'm trying to remember who said this, but it's, if I say it, it's bragging. If you say it, it's proof.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so brilliant. Any final words for our listeners at home before we tell them how they can find you and continue to follow your journey and your brilliant thought leadership and reach out and hire you?
Oh, I appreciate it. I just have to say thank you for your advocacy, Cheryl. There's nobody like you. You're the best friend, coach, mentor, partner. I mean, I'm just so honored that we had the adventure we had together. And I'm excited for what you're doing into the future. I know that when I had to leave, we obviously had a new partnership that was formed in the terms of you and John Bates, which is so exciting and powerful and amazing. And I'm telling you, anybody who wants the right coaching, I've hired Cheryl, I've hired John. These are the best you can get. If I'm willing to pay for these people, how would you not? And so I'm just telling you, these are the top people you can hire in the whole world. There are lots of programs out there. There's nobody better. There's nobody I would recommend. And anyone that comes to me asking for coaching, I send them right to these guys, because there is no one that you can choose to have hold your hand and push you and challenge you and inspire you all at once and keep the promise to you than Cheryl and John.
Oh,
So that's my pitch for you. But my final word to your listeners is this: stand for something, raise your voice. The person who is silent is the person who allows things to happen that you probably don't want. So stand up, serve, give, support people, share your voice, your signature moves. If you don't, you're breaking a promise to the world. I truly believe it. And every single person that has the opportunity to do that will make a difference in this world. We have the gift and the opportunity to do so. We should take it. And I am so thankful for the opportunity to forge forward with this mission with my father to help heal the hearts of people around the world with Cardio Miracle. I'm so grateful for the stages I get on where I get to share joy and promise. And I hope that I have the opportunity to continue to do that for a long time.
And you will. And you will. How can people find you?
LinkedIn is probably the most active place I am, although I'm on Facebook and Instagram and other places. But LinkedIn is a great place to connect if they want to, and a direct connection. JasonHewlett.com. I'm rolling out a new website here soon, and I'm excited about that. New videos, new everything. It's exciting. New photos, headshots, branding. Awesome.
Woohoo!
And then Cardiomiracle.com. If you're interested in helping yourself with your own personal health, or anyone in your family that's been on a major surgery or any kind of blood flow issues or cardiovascular needs. Cardiovascular is the number one killer of people in America.
Mm.
And unfortunately, people just continue to medicate themselves with things that aren't helpful. Put something natural in your body, on 58 natural ingredients that are going to change your life if you're willing to give it a shot. It's a 60-day money back guarantee. Hardly anyone ever asks for their money back, because if they do it for 60 days, things change and it changes their life. So, cardiomiracle.com. I'd love for anybody to check it out.
Yes. And speakers, it's amazing for your voice as well. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. Jason, thank you. Thank you for being you. You are truly one of the most incredible friends I have ever had. And for those individuals that were spreading some rumors about the fact that about how we wound up not working together, thank you for setting the record straight. And that the year that we had working together was the greatest professional year of my life. I still have pages of notes of all and webinars and lessons that I learned from you, things that I can go back. And friends, I would strongly advise you to go back and listen to that podcast episode that Jason and I did together. It will amplify your speaking business. And ultimately, hopefully, this listening to Jason's message today will also just absolutely light your heart on fire, so that you can go out and share the message that you were meant to share, which is the ultimate promise.
Thank you, Cheryl. You're the best.
You're the best. You are the best. And I get the last word. Ha! Friends, you have someone in mind that needs to hear this episode. You have all the people that need to hear this episode, and all the people that need to know that they're loved regardless of how they vote, pray, or love, and that they have friends in Jason and in me, no matter what, that we will always advocate for everyone speaking up, standing up, and sharing the true message of their heart and keeping the ultimate promise. Please share this episode and review us, so that others can find us. We love you. We thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of our hero's journey. Until next time, continue being the magic you wish to see in the world.